Okay, so here we are talking about Arknights Endfield 1.2, specifically the story. This is going to be a narrative review with all of these guys here. I'm going to go in sequence. They can all introduce themselves. You may know a good few of them. You may know all of them. You may know none of them. It's most likely you know all of them. But I'm going to start off the introduction with myself. My name is Amethyst. I'm going to be hosting today's podcast. And next, we're going to be talking to the pink cat girl on the screen. Introduce yourself. Who are you?
Hi, I am Captain Cabinets, and I play a lot of gacha games, and Arknights 1.2 good. Thumbs up.
Excellent. Excellent. This is good. This is good. This is a great introduction.
I have takes about stories sometimes. Sometimes they're controversial. Sometimes they're received positively. I just like to have a good discussion about everything to do with stories in these games. So I'm excited to talk about Arknights specifically.
Hell yeah, it's good to have you here. Next, we have a man that needs no introductions. He plays more gacha games than there are stars in the sky. Introduce yourself, good man, Sticks.
Oh, me? I'm down the bottom right for me. I thought I was going last. What's up? My name is Sticks. I cover a lot of gacha games. I feel like every time a new one drops, you'll see me there, either in an ad for it because they sponsored me, or talking trash about it because it did terribly, and in which case they chose not to sponsor me. That's pretty much it. That's me.
This man plays so many gachas. How many did you say you play at once at one point?
Currently, as of like a week ago, it was 14. Now, due to NTE and the content creator server, 15. 16 if you factor in Neo Artifacts, which just launched, and I'm going to be playing tomorrow. So,
16 gacha games, brother. That's incredible. How you have that much time, I'll never know. I wish I had that much time.
I have no life.
Okay, makes sense. There you go. You just answered the question. Perfect. And last but certainly not least, we have a man who I've spoken to before. Very good dude. Covers all kind of gacha games. And he's a Dragon Ball fan, just like myself. Introduce yourself, Pharos.
What's up, guys? Pharos here. I just play some gacha games. I'm a professional rage baiter. Sometimes I have takes that nobody likes, and sometimes I have good takes. I don't really care. I just like to express how I feel about some of these games. I'm really excited to talk about Arknights Endfield. I feel like version 1.2 is absolutely amazing, and this is coming from somebody who's not a big fan of gacha game stories because they're just the same thing. Like there's nothing new, but I feel like for 1.2 they gave something a little different, so I'm excited to talk about that with you guys.
Excellent. It's good to have you, man.
You've never played Nikke, evidently.
Okay, I did play Nikke, but the story, I wasn't too much into the story, but the story was decent.
Okay, Amethyst, you need to kick him from the podcast, man. I can't deal with
Yeah, not a Nikke enjoyer. Has to leave.
I mean, I'm the host and I haven't played Nikke. So, Sticks, do you want to take?
Oh my god.
Okay, Cap, you want to? You and me go do our own podcast, right?
Okay.
I've not played that much of Nikke, but when I did, the story was pretty interesting.
Sticks is like,
that is
my
one thing it gets
goodness.
heralded for. It's yeah, they do exist. Good stories do exist in gacha games.
They're very far in between, but when you find a good gacha game that has a decent story, it is like a breath of fresh air when it doesn't follow the same trope.
100%.
But the
100%.
first question I have for you all, we're going to go Cap, then Sticks, then Pharos. What would you scale the story of Arknights Endfield 1.2 out of 10?
I will say, for Arknights Endfield, it's its best patch and best story by far, by a mile. It's the best. And also, if I'm comparing it to like other games as well, or whatever, it has, for a 1.2, it's very strong. It's very, very strong for a 1.2. So for that reason, the fact we're still in the 1.0s and it was that strong, I'd give it like a 8.59.
Ooh,
8.59.
Strong score.
For a 1.0 delivering 1.0 story like that, I'd give it an 8.5 or a 9.
It's a good score. It's a good score. It's a strong score. Okay, Sticks, you go next, brother.
I played a lot of 1.2s of gacha games because I've been in gacha for like 4 years now, for better or for worse. But I'd say I think 1.1 was actually very tight, like well done, compact, and got across a lot of very important emotional information that was necessary for like Tong Tong's growth and even like the Qingbo stockade and everything and Ruan Yi. And I think 1.2 was a significant upgrade even on top of 1.1, and 1.1 was a pretty damn significant upgrade over 1.0. I'd probably say like I think that the moment in the story where we're allowed to talk story spoilers here, right? Like,
We are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I don't want to go too deeply into it yet at this point, but that moment where the administrator and Jang Fungi were fighting Nefarith, and like that entire scene was going on in the sky.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was one of, and like the music hit like out of nowhere. Like there was that like 5-second sequence of it. That was probably one of the most peak moments I've seen in any gacha game I've played. So
Crazy.
I'd give it a solid 9.0. That moment in specific, like 10 out of 10. There's that
that's one specific
cinema
moment. Yeah, that moment was peak.
It warranted that meme with the absolute cinema. That few second period.
Excellent. Okay, go on, Faros.
For me, I'm gonna just go out and say 7 out of 10. But I'll just play.
I was gonna say, hold on a minute.
But I like the pacing. The pacing was fine. Usually, whenever I play like gacha game stories, I don't like it when it takes them a hot minute to get to the main point. They just drag it out. But I feel like the pacing was pretty fine. The Ardshier part, I don't know, man. Ardshier is dope. His character is very interesting because he is a villain in a way, but at the same time, there's like a lot of things we don't know about him. He knows who the main character is. He knows the Endfield or whatever, the Endman. He knows his identity. He's lived for like hundreds of years. I like that part with Ardshier. And then we had the Arcane girl, which was pretty dope. She was dealing with Ardshier, and the Nefarith boss was just peak, bro. Like it felt like I was playing Monster Hunter. I'm a huge Monster Hunter fan, so like when I was fighting that boss, it was dope. It was dope. It was giving me, if you guys know Monster Hunter, you guys might not know it, but there's like this one monster called. You don't know what Monster Hunter is?
Don't instigate it. He's rage baiting. He's
rage bait. But yeah, there's like this monster called Gore Magala.
Yes.
That's what the Nefarith boss reminds me of. So
it's a good comparison.
Honestly, I would give the story a solid 8 out of 10. I think it was pretty good. One of the best 1.2 stories I ever played in any gacha game.
Solid.
It looks like everyone all around is giving it a very strong score. I am probably going to be the biggest hyper grifter here, and I gave it a 10 in my review anyway. When I was recording, I gave it a 10. I thought the pacing was very, very good. The exposition was told perfectly. It was more of a show not tell kind of story where you were doing activities, and even when they were telling you very key points of information, especially when Ardshier was telling you about the exiles and endmen and the different things going on there, they were doing it in a way. They were telling the story in the way where even though he was telling you this information, it just kept you in it the whole time. And I never once thought the pacing was dragging from Act 1 to Act 2 to Act 3, even though Act 3 was more of a down patch, because obviously it was more about Jang Fungi. I thought specifically Acts 1 and 2, that was about Ardshier and Nefarith, that pacing just flowed perfectly. I didn't think there was any down points that made me go, oh, I feel very, very bored. I feel like it's dragging. Or
I think Act 3 actually is intentionally slower for a really good reason. I don't know if you want to talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Act 3 is
I
slow for a good reason. Yeah.
We're gonna talk about Act 3 specifically because obviously the patch was centered around Jang Fungi, so we will talk about that patch, that part of the patch. But yeah, overall I thought the pacing was good. Nefarith was one of the highlights of this entire patch. Her boss fight was absolutely incredible. I don't think I've screamed and raved that much in a moment for such a long time.
It was so good. Do you know what it was? It felt like I was fighting a raid boss.
Yes.
I love MMOs. I felt like I was fighting a raid boss, and it was like awesome. It was so good. And I think like one things Arknights does really well with its boss fights is the scale of the enemies. They're huge. They're not just like these humanoid figures. The scale is actually massive, and they're doing like damage all around you. It's not just confined to this one little arena, little fight, these little slashes damage. No, it's a huge enemy, a huge fight doing a lot of stuff on your screen, and I like that. It feels big.
Too.
It did.
Yeah, exactly. That you actually have to interact with, and I like that. I like that a lot.
Because a lot of gacha games are pretty I don't know, like they take a safe approach and they're like, gacha gamers are too stupid to be able to memorize more than like 2 different mechanics for an encounter.
Yeah.
Enfield's like, we're gonna have 2, and then we're gonna have like 4 phases. Each one is gonna have its own 2, and then we're gonna have a second phase, like an old JRPG that's also gonna have mechanics that you need to learn and understand. And it's like, okay, I get it. I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think my point about the boss fight, I've made this point before, where in other narrative stories of these gacha games, when you're fighting a story-specific boss, not an endgame boss, a story-specific boss, you can't die in those boss fights. It caps you at 1 HP, and it basically nurses you through until you eventually beat the boss fight. This boss fight, you can die, and you have to start the boss fight again. Like, you can...
You know this because you died?
No, because I didn't die. I didn't die. I didn't die.
I'm a tourist. Oh
no.
I thought the boss was appropriately difficult. Like, I'll be real, my teams were massively like kind of underleveled. They don't have amazing gear, and I thought it was like appropriately difficult. Like, I don't want the story bosses when I'm playing gacha games to be like so hard that like it's taking away from me enjoying what I'm seeing. But I think it delivered on the right line of like difficulty, but also the fight goes on long enough. I get to experience the big moments, the big abilities, having to like have that panic moment of like, oh god, what do I do now? Oh, what do I do here? And I like that. It's not just like a one-shot kill. It is like,
what I also like
have some
to add on to that is the fact that you can actually use your own team of characters. You could actually use your entire team of characters, pretty much the entire patch. Normally for gacha games, you're like, here's the the main character you're playing as, and then here's the limited banner character as well, and you kind of go through it with one or both of them. In this, they're like, use your entire party for the whole like 6-hour patch, pretty much.
For sure.
No, the fact that you could use all of your characters in these boss fights is something that I really enjoyed as well, because like Stig said, sometimes it does restrict you either to the main character or the character of the patch, being whoever that is. But yeah, I do agree with that. Farah, specifically about the boss fight, what do you think? Other than it feeling like a big Monster Hunter fight, what did you think of like the whole narrative experience of it, the visuals, everything?
I think one of my favorite parts about the fight was when like she seals like one of your characters. Yeah. And then she sends like a huge nail through like this portal.
The meteorite, yeah.
Yeah, I got clapped by that. But that was my favorite part. I think that was my favorite part. And I don't know, man, it's maybe this is a weird take, but usually whenever you fight these type of bosses in other gacha games, just like Cap said, the scale, whenever they do their attacks like big explosions, it feels as if I'm fighting like a raid boss. But usually in other gacha games, it's like, I don't know, like the scale, like they have like a very strong character lore wise, but their strength doesn't really match up when you actually fight them. Like their power just doesn't, you don't feel that type of power. I don't know how to say it, man. It's like whenever they
I know what you mean.
Yeah, like when they hype these characters up, and then when you actually fight them in the game or in the story, it's just little tiny slashes or whatever. It's nothing too crazy.
Okay, it's like when you fight a character who's the villain and then they join your party and they literally like their power level increases by 98%.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when you do fight these characters or when you fight these bosses and they do have such a big element and big scale, you do want those boss fights to feel like they're gonna hit you, and it's gonna feel like you're getting hit with like a steam train. You want to feel the punches, you want to see the big colorful explosions, you want to see everything. So I completely understand that, where other boss fights, sometimes you'll fight the boss fight and you'll be like, I mean, you can see that it's powerful, but I don't feel that power, I don't feel the aura. You just know from lore this is what they're capable of, but I don't see that, and you want to see that.
It's It kind of reminds me, not to be like a World of Warcraft nerd, it kind of made me feel like watching Neltharion turn into Deathwing a little bit, and like just seeing like just that happen. So you're able to humanize like people into being like, okay, this is the character I can like react to and engage with and have the conversations with. But when you fight them, they turn into this like other form. I think that's a good way of like showing off scale, but also how they can be like reduced down to a character you could interact with and be personable with. I like that.
High five, WoW nerd.
Yo, W.
So next question. Now this is going to be a spoiler. Anyone watching, spoilers. If you haven't played the patch, do not listen to this part. It's a big spoiler. What does everyone think of Nefarith's death? Cap.
Oh, okay.
Go on, Cap.
That's
Go on, Cap.
Nelfarian's death. Nefarith. I'm saying Nelfarian now. I'm thinking about Nefarith's death. I think is my most controversial point about 1.2. I understand why it happened. I think she's coming back. There's no way that they just kill her like this. And if that's how like she goes, I'm gonna be disappointed. So I'm not too mad because I think she's gonna have more of a present later. Because I do think it would sideline her a lot, right? Because obviously we had Ardshier at the beginning, and we know that he's a lot more powerful than her. It's made very evident very quickly in 1.1, where he's ordering her around. We're like, oh, okay, you're like the side piece here. Like you're nothing in comparison to Ardshier. So I get that this is someone we're gonna overcome pretty easily. I understand that, but it does feel like we didn't really get much interaction with her before we fought her. It was kind of like, all right, Nefarith, your time's up. Go at it. You're free to do whatever. And we never really had a back and forth with her. It was more like, okay, it's my turn. We're starting our like siege on Wuing, and we're gonna fight you. To me, that was the thing that I kind of wanted. That was a bit disjointed. It felt like it was a bit too quick, a bit too immediate. I would like something in between that. But apart from that, I'm hoping that she comes back. That's probably my most contentious point about 1.2 was Nefarith.
I see. Go on, Sticks. What's your opinion on the death?
Yeah, I feel pretty much the same way. I feel like if that was actually like her fate, then she was heavily underutilized as a character, because they built her up to be something imposing and menacing in the first part of the game when she was first introduced. She's like, oh crap, this is going to be intense, right? This is going to be a build up over the course of probably all of 1.x, leading to some massive climactic battle. And it was very climactic, but there was no, I don't know, there was no like emotional connection behind it. There was no real purpose to it other than, oh, okay, she's attacking the city, we got to stop her, now she's dead. Like there was a beginning and then there was an end, but there was nothing to connect those 2 points together. And so like, yeah, it felt largely disjointed, and I think that's because they kind of just wanted to have this really impactful moment and set it up for something much bigger down the line, like her, resurrection, or maybe that was like some kind of clone or something, or maybe she had, she grew something that she could like channel power into or something like that. Who knows? And maybe that's something that they're going to touch on later, like how that happened.
Okay.
It's like you kind of say, because like Ardshier is doing his own thing now. Nefarith's quote unquote dead. We don't really have like who to worry about right now.
Nope.
Like now that 1.2 is over, it's like we don't know what to look out for. So maybe they're setting up something completely new. But yeah, I agree to that.
All right, go on, Faros. What did you think of the death / maybe not death scene of Nefarith?
Well, I will say it felt rushed in a way, because we pretty much started off with the whole Ardshier thing, and then since Ardshier's plan didn't work, then Nefarith was like, all right, his plan didn't work, let me take over, let me just destroy everything. So there wasn't, just like Styx said, there wasn't like an in-between where like first to build up to that moment. So it was rushed. However, I'm not that concerned, because usually in these gacha games, whenever they have like villain type characters, and if they're going to be playable, sometimes people worry that they're going to turn this villain into a good character. For example, you guys remember the whole Frolova thing, where people were nervous, people were concerned if Kuro, they were going to turn Frolova into like a good person because she's a playable character. So I'm not that mad at the fact that Nefarith is probably dead, but at the same time, if she's gone, we might not be able to play with her, which kind of sucks. It's literally Senora all over again. So I'm gonna just wait and see what they're gonna do with her. Maybe she might come back, maybe not, I don't know, but I'm just wait and see.
Well, fun fact about the lore, because I do want to add the reason why I asked you this, or you guys this question is specifically, if you guys, obviously everyone knows Lavatane. She is a reincarnation of Surta, exactly. And the lore is when a character dies or passes on, their essence, their memories, or whoever they are, is in the Originium. And then when they reincarnate, they look the same or look at least very, very similar and have characteristics of their past incarnation life. But who they are now is very different, but they take on traits of who they once were. With that being the lore, it isn't out of the blue to say that that Originium part of the Arknights world lore could also be effective with Nefarith.
She's so in tune with like the ether as well, and we know like the ether and Originium are kind of like parallels of each other almost, in a way. So maybe it works. Her such involvement with the ether makes what you're saying happen for that aspect of the ether powers. So maybe there's something else there. Maybe there's a reason why she's maybe not scared of like death in a way too, because she knows what the power of ether holds as well. Beyond
she
the
did look a
Originium,
little
so,
alarmed though when she was, you know, like disintegrating.
Yeah, when she did.
A little.
Sure. I think anyone would be scared of like a death that is currently happening.
But I think
she seems to be
for,
very comfortable with the ether powers in itself.
I agree with you that she's comfortable with the ether powers, but I think what sticks is that because obviously when she does fall and as she does start to, you know, Thanos snap out of existence, like she literally looked hurt, like she looked concerned, and as she fell into the ether. So maybe it's because her plan failed and she thought she could do it, or maybe because other reasons we don't know yet. Do I think she'll come back? Yes. Do I think she'll come back soon? No. I think they'll say she's dead, and then month or patches and patches later.
Years later.
Oh well, yeah, we don't know. Because obviously, as you said, Ardshier is a lot more powerful. He's obviously in charge of this whole operation of whoever these guys are, looking for the exiles, looking for whoever these people are. So maybe if he is to break out of this prison because he's trapped in where we trapped him at the end of the first act, maybe he can bring her back, or maybe he knows a way to know he knows she's not dead, or whether he knows she is dead or whatever. So we'll have to really keep an eye out and see what they do in the story, because I am so invested now. Like I am an advocate, and I am in the minority that 1.0 was enjoyable. It had its slow moments. I'm not saying it didn't.
I enjoyed it too.
But I really enjoyed it. And 1.1, I enjoyed the first part up until Ruan Yi, Tung Tung's brother, passed away. And then the second half, it lost me a bit, but I stuck with it for the sake of, I know it's obviously where we're going.
Building up.
But the first half, 1.1, thought was really, really good. Second half, wasn't too interested in it. But 1.2, again, yeah, absolutely incredible. I want to move on now, specifically... Go on.
Before we go any further, I do think there is a slight flaw in your argument about the reincarnation.
Okay, go on. Correct me.
That is because Surtur cannot die. Have you played OG Arknights? You pop her ult, and that chick just is a destructive force of nature. She cannot die. Genuinely, she can't drop beneath 1 HP.
Okay,
That's
so
wild.
in gameplay point of view, from a gameplay standpoint, she's immortal. So fine.
Like
She's forever.
For 4 years now, so I have to point that out. She can't die.
Okay, moving on. So, one question that I have before we get to Act 3 is, do you think Ardshier is evil? Because remember, when we met him, he gave us a choice to evacuate the entire city to save everyone, and he was going to call off Nefarith before he summoned the big ether portal. And he even spoke to Enderman saying, look, I don't want to fight you. I don't want to kill you. Like, we've known each other before. Just let me show you. I'll even let you kill me if you don't like what we see. What you see. So do you guys inherently think he's evil, or do you think there's something more to him that we're going to find out in the future? Go on, Cap, you start us off.
So I think with like a lot of these games, when you have like opposing factions, we end up feeling over time that not everything is as it seems, and nothing is very black and white. And I think Ardshier and what he's a part of is not a black and white situation. It's obviously very complex. It's so clear, like, was he your friend? Is he your foe? What's he supposed to be? That's all intentional to make us curious and interested in what he's all about. Like, I think it was very hinted at very obviously. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. It's been like a week since I played. It's very much hinted that we were his leader at one point. He worked under us extremely closely.
Sorry, real quick. He did state that we were the final lord that he served.
Yeah. Exactly. So he reveres us clearly. But there's always the possibility that he's like, I'm working under what you would have wanted, Endman. This is the path that you chose. but maybe he's misguided too. Maybe Endman was also misguided at some point. Like, we don't know. And I think that's the beauty of it. Like, it's up to so much speculation of his intent and where does it come from. Are we responsible for his intent? I think that makes it really compelling. And I'm so glad they did it in 1.2 because I feel like it kind of needed to happen. Like, the pace that Hypergraph is going with, like, it's like story and lore, I think is like very quick, but for a good reason. Like, they're getting us very interested in the core conflict that like Endman has right now with this guy. So I think it's pretty cool.
Perfect.
So I think it's complicated. It's complex.
Oh yeah. Go on, Sticks.
Hypergraph have always done wonderfully with their lore, though. I mean, like I've been saying since day one, Arknights has a phenomenal freaking story. It's a very convoluted, massive, unnecessary exposition. In a lot of instances, you could very easily summarize, this 30-minute long conversation in 90 seconds. But they go really, really deep into it, and that's translated well, I think, to like that live 3D style that they've been utilizing for Endfield. Circling back though to the point where you mentioned what Ardshier said about being the essentially subordinate of the Endman. So this is all fresh in my mind because I just finished streaming it 30 minutes before starting the podcast. But he also said, and this is why I think that is, I mean, there are multiple different reasons why I believe he's not evil. But after he said that we were the final lord that he served, he also pointed out, he said, I beseech you, he didn't want us to change our ways. So whatever that, we did, he ultimately believed was in some world, not necessarily right, but right in how we perceive it to be
necessary.
And and he's more than happy with us going about that route again. So I don't know if he thinks like there's that, I don't know, there are like ideological differences between the two where he believes that, he's pushing towards something and we're pushing towards something, and whoever ends up winning is going to be like the one that makes history, reality.
Right.
And that,
whoever wins wins. That's
exactly.
it.
And that will determine the future of like Talos 2, the entire world, multiple worlds, whatever. So I think it's basically just like an ideological conflict between the Endman and him, and that, I don't know, maybe they were at ends, they disagreed over it, and now they're just kind of like mutually attempting to accomplish it, whatever they're trying to accomplish in their own way. I mean, I think that ultimately we're going to see that Ardshier has a similar goal to us, maybe just tackling it or approaching it in a different way that's maybe more aggressive, or might be perceived as being more evil by the other side, whereas his side might perceive it as being more good. So a lot of morally ambiguous questions, I think, are going to be asked along the way towards that final conclusion.
I think the result of it, though, he's a very likable character. Like, he's a very, very likable, like, quote-unquote villain, and I like that. I do. I'll put my hands up. I'm a fan of a likable villain. I hate the fact that I'm, like, weirdly rooting for him in a horrible way. Like, I want him to turn up and, like, fuck shit up a little bit, because I think he's a great insert to the story.
Yeah, they've designed them beautifully.
Yes,
like, he is a very, not just him, but also Jang Fungi. Like, these are multifaceted, multi-dimensional characters that are just so far beyond hot bad guy, hot waifu that's there for a pat and gone. Like, these are very well thought out and designed characters.
100%.
Go on, Faros, what do you think? Do you think Ardshier is evil, or do you think he's got an ulterior motive?
I think he's just a complex character. Like, whenever he appears on screen, I never know like what's in his mind and what his plan is. And that one part you guys mentioned where he gave Inman a choice. He was like, do you want me to just like go attack Wuing or something else? I forgot, but it was pretty much up to Inman and what he wanted to do. So whenever stuff like that happens, whenever I see Ardshier do stuff like that, I'm like, I don't really think he's a bad guy. I just think he has his own agenda, and it has something to do with Inman. And I think, what's her name, Perlica, I think Perlica said that. She said that Ardshier, all the things that he was doing with like the whole, what was it, like the towers that he was destroying? Those were like distractions. He just wanted to bring Inman closer to him, and that's pretty much it. That's all he wanted. So I think that's pretty interesting. And there's like this other part where he mentioned like when we were talking to Ardshier in like this little portal. I forgot the.
Yeah,
What
I know
was
what
those
you
little
mean.
gray portals called again?
I'm not sure. It's like I'm not sure what the official name was for them, but it was like a space between spaces. It was like a pocket dimension thing.
Yeah. When he was talking to Inman, he said something about like tombstones. Like there was like a bunch of tombstones all over the place. And that brings me back to the beginning of the game where we were walking and there was like like a huge graveyard with a bunch of tombstones. So maybe he was talking about that. I don't know. So there's like a lot of things going on with Ardshier, but all I can say is that he's a really cool character. If he's not a villain, I wouldn't be surprised because he has a lot of ulterior motives. He has a lot of stuff going on. So I can't wait to play with him. I just know that later on in the future, he is going to be a playable character, and I can't wait for that to happen. I don't know which element he's going to be, though. Maybe they might make a new element. I don't know. But I'm just coping. I'm coping of the whole new element thing. But yeah, I like that character a lot.
Did anyone else think like when when Arcane saved us during that big like power struggle when Endman was up there and like shooting at Ardshier and he's just chilling up there like haha, I don't even feel it. Did anyone else think that his goal there was to actually, and the reason Arcane kind of interfered was because he was kind of, I don't know, baiting you into attacking him because he had a giant portal behind him, and that he was just gonna be like whoopsie and then fall back and you're gonna go in there with him?
Yeah.
I think he's rage baiting Endman to show his power. I think Ardshier wants Endman to break for some reason. I think he wants to see him go all out. I think there's a plan for that. Or something.
I think there is something more to that because even the line where he's like show me your true self once more.
Yeah.
I think each of these exiles or whoever these mysterious people are, there is an alternate form. Obviously we've seen Nefarith's now, hers is the dragon. We don't know whose Ardshier's is, but maybe there is like a secret power hidden in these specific groups of people, and it reveals a certain part of themselves. And I do think it's a mixture of he wanted Enderman to show his true self once more, like he said in the line, but also because the portal behind him was there. I think maybe it was one of those things. Yeah, it was like, it's like, well, if you break the portal, I'm just gonna drag you back. But I think it's very interesting, him talking about the exiles, him basically saying, just wanting to talk to Endman because that was a distraction. That wasn't obviously his end goal. He just wanted to talk to Endman, and I do believe Endman would have gone with him if Perlica's voice didn't reach him in that alternate dimension, because he was pondering it. He was still like, I'm convinced he probably would have gone, all right, let's say that I do. Let's say that I do this. Then what happens to X, Y, and Z? There has to be contingencies, and then I'll go with you. Because I don't think Enderman is that black and white where it's like, no, I'm a goodie and only a goodie. I think there is a darkness in him. We've seen it quite a lot throughout the story. Even in Valley 4, every single time he tries to stop these characters or tries to get involved, he does get a bit angry. He does try to overexert himself, and then Perlica or someone's like, you're gonna burn yourself up, stop. And he's like, I ain't stopping. And then he burns himself out. So I think there is a darkness within him, which I think will be explored later down the road, which I'm very excited for. But speaking of Arcane, what do you guys think of Arcane? Cap, you go first.
Oh, I think she was introduced kind of abruptly. I do think it was kind of like okay, and now we have Arcane, and she is kind of a character that's like there to help us progress the story. Okay. And she is there for having a purpose of, her being there to stop us from harming ourselves, right? Like her purpose is so that we don't do anything too drastic and we're not present and not available, and she ends up helping to seal up Ardshier. I think she's really cool in the way that she presents herself, and bro, her abilities are really interesting as well, and they're very big and they're pretty flashy, and she's a very cool-headed character, right? She's there to follow orders, and that's all I'm getting from her at the moment. I hope that we see more. I hope we see more, because right now I feel like she's very much like I'm a follow orders kind of person when it comes to her, but I like her design. I just hope she's just not there as like I'm here to progress a story type character.
I got you. I understand that. There's a fear of all of these times we get a new character, there is a fear of is this just going to be cannon fodder? Is it just going to be a puppet to progress the story? So I understand that. Go on, Sticks, what's your opinion on Arcane?
He is a walking meme. And by that I mean, every time she's on screen, right, something will happen and then you'll hear the epic music start. Out of nowhere, all the little ray guns start appearing around her. She's ready to throw down, destroy everything, every single time. Like we have a running meme over the course of the stream, and that's that she's essentially like just like an aura farm incarnate, and that you know, every single thing that happens, like the cast of characters will be like, okay, what do we want for dinner? Parlico's like, I want pizza, and then Chen's like, you know, I want burgers, and then you have Arcane over there. The camera pans to her, then the epic music starts in the background. You know, the cannons start appearing behind her. She gets up and she's like, potato chip. Like, everything she does has to have that epic like aura farming build up, and then you know, it just like she unloads everything after that. So she looks incredible, don't get me wrong. I love the whole, like, you can see, when you stand behind her, you can see everything down there, right? She's like in complete, I don't know, tactical gear on top, and then just like complete freedom aft from like the waist down. So, you know, her design is absolute peak. And love her personality, love the voice actress. She did a phenomenal job voicing her. I do like her personality. She's very stern, very respectful to the Endman anyway. I feel like everyone picks on Chen. Like, I genuinely feel bad for Chen. I feel like every single person has an issue with Chen and mocks her. Yeah. But I also like that even though she had that kind of loyalty to, and with regards to following orders, like to the letter, when it came down to it, she still defied her orders and went to protect the admin. So I thought that was very cool, and like a little bit of character growth, because she was a very one-dimensional character up until that point. You know, follow orders, epic moment, follow orders, ray gun, and then she kind of like evolved at that short moment. I'm hoping we get to see a lot more of her, because again, like, they've done a wonderful job of, I don't know, like, emphasizing the individual characteristics of all the different cast members and showing how they're all very different. So I'm hoping that, and like even with Mifu, Tong Tong, you know, Fangya, we've seen they're all very different characters. I hope they give that same kind of attention to Arcane as well.
Nice. Yeah, no, absolutely. Good points. Good points. Pharos, what do you think of Arcane as a character?
I think she's very similar to Mifu, especially her relationship with Inman. You know, Mifu, very protective over Jang Fungi. Meanwhile, Arcane is protective over, you know, Inman. Yeah, so she's really similar to Mifu. But if you guys ever watched that anime, Gachi Yakuta, you guys might not know it.
Gachi Yakuta. Yeah, it's a good anime.
So you know that one character, Zanka, and the girl, like long ago in his childhood, it was like a student that pretty much the best of the best, right? She reminds me of her, that girl, because she's like the best of the best. Meanwhile, Chen is like Zanka in a way, where Chen tries to be better than her, but that just doesn't work because she failed the exam. And Arcane, she passed the exam. She's just the best. That's what she reminds me of. So I find her character interesting, but she's just too similar to Mifu. That's how I feel. I feel like she's really similar to Mifu, and it's just nothing new to me in a way. I don't know.
I think that's just a consequence of like the environment they're in, right? They're more part of like the regimented side of like the Wuing staff, right? That's their whole purpose. So I could definitely see why you would think that they're too similar.
I think it's good points though.
It's a consequence. Yeah, it's a consequence of like that role, their actual role in Wuing. Yeah,
they're soldiers. They're protectors by nature.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think because maybe all they've known for the most part is just being a soldier to protect Wuling, to serve the Tianqin or whoever it is. I think that's all they've known. So maybe as time goes on, and obviously Endmin being the Endmin and the crew being the crew, they will slowly soften their hearts when they're around us, because obviously that's the whole point. We're there to show them there's another way. Over time, they'll soften their hearts, they'll change characters, and then we'll see character growth. Obviously, this is the first patch we saw Arcane. So in the future, I think this was meant to be the aura farming, really cool, badass character to build hype. and then later on down the road, when we do get the official release, we'll get a bit more story about who she is, her backstory, her relationship with Chen, because obviously they grew up together and they took the same trials and exams together, which is really cool. So I'm very interested in seeing where this character progresses going forward. Now, I have a question, and this is a question that I think everyone's going to have the same opinion on. Okay, it's a very fun one. The Siege of Wuing, the thing we've wanted in another gacha game we know and love, where we wanted a siege on a city to break out a certain character. It never happened. But in this game, we got the siege on the big city, a big climactic moment where we've had all of these operators coming. The pan, whatever the hell his name is, showed up. We've got all of the other operators showing up with the big platforms teaming up. Tung made a reappearance, and her and Mifu teamed up. It was a very cool moment. The city was decimated. People clearly died and got seriously hurt. So what did everyone think of that moment when we were ziplining over the city, destruction everywhere we looked? Cap, you go first.
I said this while I was playing on stream. This is kind of what I want and expect if we're doing this big siege city fight. They did that. There was a reason why they forced you to zip line across the city, so you could look around and be like, hey, this is actually happening, by the way. There is a big fight about to happen, a big battle. You're under siege. Look at it. And they did that multiple times. It's happening, and there's conflict everywhere, and you could actually take it in. And you felt, again, it's about scale. Endfield is doing scale very well, whether it's his boss fights or actually showing you there's impact in the city. And I love it being an instance case, right? An instance fight, an instance scenario where like, hey, okay, you're going to be locked into this mission. So we're able to actually manipulate the world a little bit to do this fight, to do this siege, so you can actually experience it. I think it was such a good idea. And it really helped you feel immersed into what's happening, that there is a threat. This is a problem. Oh God, this is the oh fuck moment, right? Like this is the oh fuck moment, and it delivers it so well. And that's what I expect from a siege. And like you say, having all the characters involved, the way Tung appears as well to offer and help. I was cheering. I was like, you know what? I love you, Tung. I thought it was great. Yeah, like gets involved. I was like, this is how it should be.
And you actually
doing a siege.
And you actually knew who the characers were.
Yeah.
Like when they all kind of came together, you're like, oh, I know who.
I know you.
Like
this makes
you
sense.
want who?
God damn
Tell
it.
who?
God damn
like,
it.
It's no. But it's I think it was the scale of it again was great. And I think that also goes to show as well with Endfield the way that they optimize their game, that they're allowed to do stuff like this, where they can make the whole city a war zone, basically. Just goes to kind of showcase how well they're optimizing their game, and that they can do this kind of stuff with their city.
They've taken the Unity engine and they've pushed it quite far to the point where we can actually, like you said, see these things. And I think them choosing to build the game off of Unity really does do the game service, because it's allowing the game to show what it's capable of. So that's something I'm really proud of.
You can get scale.
You can, yeah. Okay, Styx, what do you think of the big siege moment?
So Cap actually noted that she liked the when you placed down the little pylons, the zip lines, you could go, you could kind of look at everything that was going on. See, I had a completely different take with that. I was pissed because fucking Perlica was just like shooting down zip lines like crazy. Like, I gotta run all the way over to every specific little block on the ground and place them. She's shooting them down like a fucking machine gun, right? Like, why can't I do that in the open world and just have them all automatically connected? That irritated me so much. It was a beautiful scene, though. Very beautiful scene.
So wait a minute. You didn't like it, not because it wasn't a cool scene, but because Perlica did what you want in the overworld?
It was immersion breaking, dude. The fact that she can just call it down wherever she wants it. I can't do that. They need to add that in as a quality of life feature, that you can just take like a top-down isometric perspective view and then just kind of be like, okay, like 79 meters apart repeatedly over the entire zone. Like, zoom out for the world map and just be like, here's exactly where I want 43 different zip lines. Immediate placement for all of them. that's essentially what she did with her little tablet that she had going on.
Yeah,
So-
need that.
We need that
Exactly,
tablet.
yeah, huge quality of life. Everyone needs to leave feedback saying that that's something we need.
We
Give
need
us a
we need
tablet.
we need Perlica's tablet to place down whatever we want.
And then when Japan came flying in,
Yes.
and we then had to like kind of scale it to get over like the, oh man, I forget what it was called, like that miasma
Yeah.
crap that was coming up and
Oh, the
Communnity
blight,
City.
yeah.
The blight, yeah.
Yeah. So I wasn't aware that like they were gonna wobble and everything. So like I just saw them all kind of just connect. I'm like, okay, cool. So I started jumping, and then out of nowhere, it's just like,
Yeah, one of them
I'm like,
dies.
what? Yeah, and I immediately fell because he just like wibble wobbled right off and died on me, and I went with it. So that was annoying too.
That's
'Cause, no, go on.
I was gonna say that's another thing I liked about this siege is the fact that you can see things trying to help you, and then the Angoloi and Nefarith is like, shoot her down. We're not having any assistance for
Yeah.
Enderman. No, they're having any assistance to take them down. Like we can't be having can't be having that.
I went into it expecting it to be stupid proof, but it wasn't. Like you can actually mess up.
Yeah,
So
it was good.
like it was actually very fun, and like that also ties into what you were saying about being able to die. The experience you had where you died against the boss fight. It ties into that. So you can also die just trying to jump over the.
Anyway, moving on. Right, Pharos. Pharos, what do you think of the siege of Wuing?
It was good. It was good. When I went through that scene, it reminded me of that one moment in Genshin. If you guys played the Natlan War arc, and you were on a hot air balloon, if you guys went through that,
I didn't play
Genshin.
Natlan. No.
I'll skip that line.
this guy.
I'm sorry.
Anyways,
Explain.
it was
Explain.
like a part. It was like a part in Genshin, like in Natlan. There was like a war, and then you were on a hot air balloon, and then you were pretty much going around Natlan, and then you would see like the monsters, like the Abyss, Heliotros, or whatever they were fighting. Some of the characters, the NPCs, but it reminded me of that one moment, and I was like, this is what they should have done, because Genshin and in Arknights Endfield, they're both using the same engine, and usually people always say, oh, it's it's Unity, so it's fine for Genshin to do stuff like that. I'm like, no, it's not, man. Like when you look at games like Arknights Endfield, they took Unity and went above and beyond with it. So when I was going through that scene, that was the only thing that was in my head. I was like, yo, this is what the Natlan War arc should have looked like, but unfortunately it didn't look like that. But they did a great job on the explosions, everything, showing the blight. I think that's what it's called, the blight, when it was trying to pierce through the wall, and we had to repair those towers so that they can put the barrier back up. All the characters coming in, fighting together. It was dope. I liked it a lot.
Good. Glad that everyone seemed to enjoy the siege, other than Styx because of the zipline placement. But other than that, it seems like everyone and their forefathers loved this this siege, and it's great. I think it showed.
Second act was just peak overall.
The second act was the strongest part of the story in terms of engagement, in terms of immersion. It was the best part of this story patch, and I'm very happy they took this route, and I'm very happy they showed off this kind of story this early, because I think this is going to a lot of people covered this patch. A lot of people were expecting to go into it and going, it's going to be a letdown, hypergriff this, hypergriff that. People went into this and actually really enjoyed the patch and actually really enjoyed the story.
I've been someone that's been quite critical of the story. Even 1.1, I was like, I didn't think it was that great. I struggled to get through it. Like it wasn't for me, but I was like, I'll see it through. I will do my bit. I'll see it through. End up loving 1.2. So, yeah. People could change their minds. That's okay. Guess what? Wow. Changing your mind in a gacha game? Whoa. Who'd have thought? That's crazy.
You can do that. That sounds as far-fetched to me as playing more than one game that shares a similarity. Like, it's as far-fetched as playing 2 open-world gacha games. That's
wow.
Dude,
You can't do that.
At first, I wasn't planning on doing the 1.2 story, but when Amethyst, when he texted me, he was like, do you want to be part of the podcast? I was like, sure. I was like, okay, now that I'm going to be in the podcast, I have to go through the story. So I played through and I was like, okay, it's actually not that bad. Like, I ain't gonna lie, if you didn't text me that, I would not play
you would have missed out on peak. You'd have seen like a cutscene of a dragon turning up and going, huh? This
That's what I'm saying, bro.
I'm glad people are really enjoying it, and I'm glad the people that do play Arknights or came back to Arknights or have always been an Arknights Enfield fan, I'm glad they're appreciating what Hypergriff are doing, because I can definitely see, in terms of a narrative aspect, they're really putting in a lot of effort of where they want the story to go. It does feel like they've got phases in place. It does feel like they've got a very clear vision on where they want this story to go, and that's something that I'm very excited for. Let's move on to Act 3. This is about Jang Fungi and her past and how she became the Tianqi and how she basically became who she is. What does everyone think about the character of Jang Fungi? What do you think of her just as a character, whether it's design, whether it's personality, everything? What do you think of Jang Fungi? Go on, Cap, you start us off.
I guess I'll start by saying, obviously, Act 3 was a lot slower in pace, and I said at the beginning for good reason, because it does center around Jang Fungi, and it focuses on a lot of like sensitive topics. I think her as a character, she's also quite complex, and I think the whole point of the third act was to kind of show how she suffered, because she is literally the poster child example for what survivor's guilt looks like. We got to experience that through Act 3, because at the beginning I was like, oh, this is kind of slow, I don't care. But the more I was seeing her about her past, what she went through, having everyone die around her like so early, and then she's regretted that. She's felt guilt for so long, and you see after the siege of Wuing things happening again. She's in the hospital with like all these like people that are like suffering or have died or in critical condition, and you can just tell that was the moment. Like, it humanizes her. She's this big powerful character, and she gets humanized in that one moment of the game, and I'm like, oh, she feels guilty. She feels guilt. And then as you go through Act 3, you see that more and more with her. And I ended up, by the end of it, really appreciating her character because of that. And she was willing to sacrifice herself. I don't want to bother any more people. Too many people have died. I don't want Endman to come with me either. Like, she is such a character filled with guilt that doesn't deserve to feel as bad as she does. Because she's done everything for Wuing. Everything. So I think she is a phenomenal character.
Good.
I will say. That's
Good.
what I came from it.
Yes, she is a very good character, very well written, very well designed character, and she does show a lot of depth. Yeah. Go on, Sticks. You continue off. What do you think of Jang Fungi and the third act?
Top 3 in terms of character models. I think the best looking characters are Mifu, and then Fungia, and then after that Nefarith. 3 best looking characters. But disregarding the actual aesthetic of the characters, I thought, and this ties into both, I think the Endman and Fungia here, and that is that towards the end of the story you have that moment where both Fungia and Endman are standing there looking at each other now that everything is finished, and Endman actually, and I think this, I mean, Cap said it humanized Fungia, but I think this also humanized the Endman even more.
Sure.
And that is that the Endman showed insecurity by saying, she asked Fungia specifically, will you leave me? Right? And then Fungia responded by saying, you know, she'll never leave the Endman. So that showed that insecurity that Endman has for losing the people that they care about as well. I think that was something that largely isn't touched on in gacha games. It's like a character flaw, or maybe it just like lessens them or weakens them or something in the eyes of players. But it's something that they took the time to express, and I think made it a lot more emotional, like the connection that they have between Fungia and the administrator. So I think, since that, I mean, like everything Cap said evidently is 100% legit, but I just wanted to add on to that because I think it's something that a lot of people miss, because like it's the small little things that I think that people are skipping out on, or missing out on rather, and then skipping, and it's something like that I think makes Endman a much more interesting character overall, because they're not just a one-dimensional being that's like, you know, here's a character, epic or a farming moment, climax, it's over, moving on to the next chapter. It actually over time shows that the Endman has connections with these characters, and Fungia definitely had this kind of connection with the Endman. And then there's another part, and that is that when I started this, there were a bunch of people in chat that were all pretty much echoing the same thing, and that is that they were claiming that I needed to play. I needed to play part 3 as a male because Act 3 was actually a dating sim. And then like you got hit with all the trauma in her story and you're like, how, in what world is this a dating sim? But they're like, you know, the characters, you know, Fungi and the Endmen are holding hands often, and then they have a lot of emotional moments. Clearly that means, you know, like there's a lot there, that a lot of tension between.
They hold hands. They must be dating. It has to be. There's nothing else.
Any other way? It's like absolutely maximizing the degen right there.
Go on.
That's pretty much, yeah. They're my thoughts. Phenomenal. I actually thought it was a very good patch overall, and that's because it touched on a lot of like more emotional aspects overall.
Yep.
Good. Go on, Forrest. What do you think of Jang Fungi, and what do you think of her story, technically, in the third act of the story?
Like the character. Definitely one of my favorite characters in the game, gameplay-wise. By the way, her gameplay, it took me like, I don't know, 5 hours to really understand how her gameplay works because of the whole like electrification thing. We could talk about that later, but the story, I feel like it was definitely slow because, you know, after we fought Nefarith, there was a lot going on, you know, it was a lot of hype, and then it pretty much slowed down where we're just talking about, you know, Fungi's backstory, why she is the way she is, and why she's doing this and why she's the leader or whatever. So it was definitely a lot slower. I'll say my favorite part in her story quest was when they went to that little island and Li Feng was there. And then yeah, like Li Feng, I ain't gonna lie, underrated character. I like Li Feng. At first I hated him because I kept losing 50-50 to him, but pretty nice character. I like him a lot, especially with like his parents, you know, him paying respects to his parents. I like that part. But yeah, there's really nothing much I can say about her story. It was pretty simple. It's just she lost a lot of people. She doesn't want to, you know, bring anybody else into the situation with like the black hole, whatever that was underneath Wuing. She doesn't want to bring Inman into it or any other people, because they showed Mifu and, you know, everybody that's close to her, they showed glimpses of those characters, and they said that, hey, we can help you out whenever you need anything, but she didn't want to bring them into it. So I like that part about her character. You know, she's very, how can I say, like, she's a very like selfless character where she puts everybody else first for herself, and she's willing to do whatever it takes to protect Wuling. So she's a great leader. Like her a lot.
Good answer. Yeah, I think showing who she was beforehand and the build up to it and what she endured, what she lost, because her and her group created Shirenite. They were the founders of Shirenite, and they were the ones that created the borders and helped Wuling become what it is today. So there's a lot of lore about, one, her knowledge, how smart she is, how tactical she is, one, how powerful she is, and it's very good to see that evolution told in a very unique way like this. Again, going back to exposition, the way they tell the story in this case is very interesting, because obviously there are other gacha games and there are other games that we do play where you are in a cutscene and it's a static cutscene and you're having a conversation for about 20 minutes and you're getting these phrases, these words and these references. You have no idea what they're talking about, but they expect you to know what they're talking about, and then you don't find out until later. You put the pieces together and go, oh, well, it would have been good to at least see that, so they could have shown us that. Where I think with Endfield story, whenever they're explaining the lore or explaining how a character is, where they're from, who they are, like Jang Fungi, they're telling it in a way that is very interesting, and they're telling it in a way that is very engaging, because obviously Endfield, one of the things I love about the game that it specializes in, the platforming and the puzzles. And as you're completing these puzzles and as you're platforming through these dungeons and whatever the story area is, you're finding out more and more about the story at the same time. And I think that also keeps your brain engaged with just what's going on your screen. And I think that's a very good tactic that Hypergriff is doing when it comes to telling their story and keeping people engaged when showing off their gameplay at the same time. And I think it also shows how smart she is in the sense of she created the trap for Nefarith. Like, she knew she had to stay in her tomb or in her fortress, wherever, because that's why she sent Enderman there to fight Ardshier and not her, because she knew Nefarith was still around. Like, she knew, she had this information, but she had to make sure that at least Ardshier was engaged so that she could stay behind and go, well, if Nefarith turns up, I'm going to be ready. And one thing I love, I'll let you talk in a sec, Sticks. Hold on, I know you want to say something. One thing I love is that when you actually fight Nefarith, when she transforms the stage into the arena, that was the trap. And the reason why she created that trap in that specific way is because it's meant to cause a disadvantage for Nefarith. So Nefarith is fighting in an environment that isn't one she's used to, which is the reason why she had to draw out her signature card, becoming a dragon. She basically got desperate and she had to just go all out all at once to foil the trap, which I thought was very interesting, but also showed off the genius that Jang Fungi was. Go on, Sticks. I know you've been itching to say something.
Sorry, it just tied perfectly into when you were talking about Nefarith and Fungi, how they were in the office. I thought the standoff that they had, where they were at the table, slowly walking around, kind of like sizing each other up before the actual confrontation, was so beautifully done. Because it wasn't just like one of the other characters like attacking each other. No, it was both of them who were total badasses and like broken levels of OP, just standing opposite, you know, waiting for the other to make the move and just circling the table. That was just like a very, very well-designed scene overall.
When I saw them facing off and walking around each other, I got incredibly hyped, because that was like the proper hero and villain moment where they're proper like the final battle where they're... It was so good. It was so good. I loved it. It was such a good build up to the boss fight. I was like, oh, the tension is so real. I got so excited. Does anyone else?
They were probably walking around the table for like a solid 5 minutes, because they were walking around the table, and then when they started fighting, it was like for 5 seconds, and then Inman came in. So
yeah,
probably walking around that thing for like 5 minutes straight.
Yeah,
just talking.
It does.
All the smack talk going on.
The smack. It's like, what you gonna do? But even like the part where they were like just chatting absolute was to each other, and then Fungi just says, all right, vermin. I'm like, oh, she called you vermin. You're gonna take that? What the hell is this? Some shit talking fight. I thought overall that it was chef's kiss. I think this is beautiful, and I think if anyone agrees or disagrees, feel free to let me know. If they keep telling the story in this way going forward, I think this could have extreme potential to be one of the really top contenders in this whole gacha scene story case. Obviously, people are saying this is already up there because of 1.2, but it's not out of the blue for them to have. We know games that have had one knockout the park patch in terms of story, and then obviously in later patches they fell short. But I think if Hypergriff and the Griffline develop a story and develop the gameplay and boss fights and whatever going forward in this style and in this way consistently, I think this could be something incredible. I think we could get a 2.0 moment where the game's brought back into people's prayers. I think that could be the case. I mean, I don't know what you guys think. I
think a fundamental issue that a lot of people had with Arknights Endfield was the factory system, and 1.2 I think handled it marvelously. They offered the new like Sure Knight, right? And they offered you like how to actually go about constructing it, but then they just gave you all of it you needed for the story. So they're not inhibiting players from progressing with the story and locking or gating it behind the factory. Yeah. So then you can move into 1.2 and then not have to do anything. You know, you don't have to engage the factory at all. Mine's still empty. So you can just tackle 1.2, potentially 1.3, 1.4 without ever touching your factory. And I think that's going to remove that limiter on in terms of enjoyment from other players that were, I think, turned away from having the factory or having to utilize the factory for so many things. I really quickly needed to address that before jumping into it.
Yeah, no, I think it's kind of difficult because I think we're all aware, we're not blind. The landscape for Arknights Endfield right now is definitely a mixed bag. between everybody. And the question then becomes, how do you convince people who might already have been put off for whatever reason they might be put off to give it another shot? And that only happens if more people kind of talk about their experience with the story, right? That's the only thing that you can do to kind of prove, hey, maybe you don't like the combat, maybe you don't like the gacha system, but maybe you never cared about it in the first place, because there are a lot of people who play gacha games just because they enjoy the story. Think of any one of the big gacha games right now. The content that always does the best is like people talking about story or playing through it or reacting to it. So the only way to kind of convince and showcase people to give it a shot is by like doing what we're doing now, talking about it, playing through it, showcasing it, and getting the message out there, because a lot of people have put Endfield on the back burner for whatever reason. And this is kind of a message to give it a shot, give the story a shot. It's good. If you stopped at 1.0, 1.1 might be a bit of a trek to get through, but there's kind of like light at the end of the tunnel a little bit with this one, and if they keep it up, it'll be great. And I think it's so important for Hypergraph for 1.3 and onwards to follow up. That's the key thing, follow up, because if it's like a down and an up and a down, that's going to be hard to like, you know, give that to people and showcase it. But I think it's just talking about it is the best thing we could do right now.
Yeah.
I think it's worth a shot. It's worth a shot.
Hell yeah. What do you think, Forrest? Do you have anything to add to what these two have said?
Yeah, I feel like for Arknights Endfield, the game definitely has potential. I was one of those people where after 1.0 and 1.1, I took like a little break because the factory system, like when I look at the factory system, I'm like, okay, the factory system is nice, because when you look at other gacha games, they don't really have that. It's you go into a domain and farm for artifacts, and it's completely RNG. Meanwhile, for Arknights Endfield, it's like, okay, you have the factory system. It can be tedious, right? Because you have to go through a whole process, you know, do all of that. But you have fixed stats. You don't have to worry about RNG at all. So that is rewarding in a way. But I will say though, Sticks, you better get started on your factory, because the new material, Headnight component, it takes a long time to actually get those in order for you to get the new gear for your character. So you gotta get started on that.
Bro, I'm in level 32 gear, man. I don't care. I'm a
That's crazy.
You don't care. He's like,
man.
Nah, bro, my WoW team still has like no echoes, like barely.
What? This guy to play the game.
Uninstall, bro.
I'm a filthy fucking casual when it comes to gacha games. I micromanage 15 of them per day.
Yeah.
I get in there, I play the story.
He does dailies.
For the new characters, do dailies, and then I'm like, all right, close.
Yeah, do the story.
That's the only excuse.
That's symbolic of like a lot of people though in like that play gacha games. Most people, they don't get too in depth with the gameplay that much, and they don't max out everything. A lot of people just are in it for the ride and for the story. And if that's what you like. Because like I think Arknights Endfield definitely does cater to that more casual side of things, especially like if you consider the gameplay and the combat. Everyone knows the combat isn't exactly the most in-depth thing out there, right? It's not that in-depth, it's not that complicated, it's not that difficult. It leans on the side of they just want to give you a good time and a good experience.
Tell that to Amethyst, who died in the boss fight against
I didn't die in the boss fight.
Fungi is actually hard to play with. She's actually really, really hard to play with.
I haven't pulled for her yet. I've lost every 50-50, so I have no idea.
Yeah, every single time Cap summons, she loses.
Dude, I have
so many.
A bloody R4 like lost right now. I've lost every 50-50 in this game. It's oh my god.
But I mean, at least it's last right. At least it's last right though. She's one of the better units.
I don't need Last Right anymore.
Yeah, but
I hate. I'm sorry, bro. I hate Last Right. I hate her. I like her design, but her gameplay is so dog shit. I hate her gameplay.
I hated it. As my first complaint was Arknights. Was Lost Rights gameplay.
Yeah, trash. I just know she's one of the most powerful, heavy-hitting ones on the standard banner, but I can understand her gameplay being a bit naff for a lot of people.
Like I don't care if someone hits heavy if I don't like playing it. Like
that's fair enough. I mean, my first six star was Lai Feng, and I had a good time with Lai Feng. He was my first 6-star ever on this game, and I built a full physical team, and I had a good time.
Oh yeah.
You got Lai Feng at the beginning. That's hilarious. I still don't have him.
You still don't have him?
That's crazy, bro.
I've lost all of my 50-50s to Li Feng or Ardelia. It's always been those two. It's always been Li Feng or Ardelia.
Yo, my last few have been Rossi. I just keep getting Rossi after Rossi.
I haven't got Rossi.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
I've not lost to a limited character yet. I'm really upset.
Completely forgot that you can get
limited.
limited characters. I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
you can get from 2 patches before. So at the moment, if on Feng Yi's banner, you can get Tung Tung and Rossi on previous banners.
See,
Yeah.
the gacha isn't as bad as some of you thought it was. Not you guys specifically, the viewers.
Listen, okay, there are things they can improve on, but there are things to do well, okay? It's a mixed bag.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
It's not the worst thing in the world, but I can understand some of the critiques the gacha gets. Do I think it's overhated? Yes, but do I understand the critiques? Also, yes. Right. Well, guys, that's all the questions I have. We've covered near enough all of the patch and everything that we had to discuss in terms of narrative and story and characters only. I just want to say thank you guys for coming along. I know some of you it was very last minute. Some of you I spoke to a few days ago. Some of you was like, yeah, Cap. I spoke to Cap like yesterday about this. And yeah, I just really appreciate you guys joining me today. And if you guys would want to do another one when 1.3 releases, I'd love to make this as much of a regular thing as possible. And I think talking about the game in this fashion and talking about the game in a sense of a casual nature, because obviously the story is more of a casual side of it, and I think the more we talk about it, hopefully the attention will be more moved towards the game, and hopefully people will give it another shot. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys being here.
You keep throwing the word casual. You keep throwing the term casual around. Is that an indirect reference to me, or?
I mean, all right, Mr. 15 Gotchas. Mr. 15 Gotchas.
I'm feeling a little hostility here after I kept calling you out for your death against.
No, never.
We need a casual off. That's what we need. That's it. We need a casual. Who's the biggest casual in gacha?
Right.
Everyone's gonna show all your gacha accounts and all your teams for everything.
We're gonna.
That's how we do this.
Real quick, what level is everyone in Arknights Endfield? Like their account level?
I'm 58. I'm 58. I'm 58.
Oh.
All right.
57.
I think I'm like 54.
Tourist. Get out of
here.
there.
She's not invited for the next
Yeah, you can't be for the next one. Unless you're 60 for the next one. Guys, if you guys watching want to subscribe, like, comment down below. I'll leave the links to all these guys' channels in the description.
10K! Out of the stables to 10K, let's go.
We're on the way.
You mean 100, right?
We're on the way. We'll get Sticks to 100. We'll get Cap to 50. We'll get Faros to 20. We'll get me to 10.
Let's go.
Let's
Wow,
do
how
it.
do you have all these numbers off the top of your head? God damn, dude.
Pocket watch it.
Research. God damn. We got a stalker here.
He's a fan, man. He's a fan. I respect it.